All right. Hello, I am Tyler Gray, and this is Forged in Chaos Daily. The video today is going to be about me. I've actually filmed probably 20 videos, and then my girlfriend was like, have you done a video about yourself? And I was like, no, I didn't think about that. Probably because I know me. You may not.
Come on. I know you.
About me in case you don't know me, which in case I don't know how you got here, but you're here. So let's go with it. So my name is Tyler. I'm just going to start at the beginning because it's easier that way. So I was born in Bakersfield, California. And if anyone knows where Bakersfield, California is, it's about an hour and a half north of Los Angeles. It is primarily known, well, it's changed over the years. When I was a kid, it was known for country music and oil and farming as well. Now, I don't know what it's known for now, but it's both changed and not changed. So I grew up in Bakersfield. It was an interesting place to grow up because it's kind of, like I said, a farm town, but also very much kind of a rough place in the city, a lot of crime. And I grew up pretty much in the middle of the city, almost within a mile of downtown. So growing up, I was just a very super sensitive, nerdy kid. I didn't have a ton of friends. I was not popular. I was very, very, very isolated. I was painfully, I'm going to use the word painfully shy, just didn't really socialize much. I was one of those people that, well, he's not shy if you get to know him. I was that kid. And as a kid, my dad is an alcoholic. He worked all the time. I rarely saw him. When I did see him, he was generally asleep. And so I grew up, I spent a lot of time as a child alone. I also, it's hard to say these things because they sound so cliched now. It's like, I was picked on a lot, it's like, and you look back now and you go, oh, like everyone was picked on, which it feels like everyone has this story that they were picked on. The thing that's crazy is, though, I remember being a kid and some people were definitely not picked on. So it's like everyone's story is I was picked on, but then I remember a bunch of kids, like, does every kid get picked on? I don't remember it that way. I remember definitively a very, majority of kids doing the picking on a minority of kids, if that makes sense. I think the reality is the ones that were picked on become the vocal majority later because we use that adversity as childhood as fuel for accomplishments later. So then later you're on a podcast and you're telling the story of, I used to be picked on, a famous actor. Oh yeah, I used to be told I was shit when I was a kid. Whereas the people that weren't picked on, who become nothing, don't have the opportunity to get on. And even if they did get hugely successful, it's not exactly like they're going to go on a talk show and go, yeah, I was the asshole picking on others. No one's going to say that. So I definitely struggled a lot as a kid, which it's probably worth me mentioning that I shouldn't have. What do I mean by that? I was a very athletic. I was tall for my age. I was always pretty tall for compared to the other kids around me. I wasn't overweight. Like I said, I was very athletic. I was very good at sports. I think I was a decent looking kid. I wasn't taking the short bus to school. Like in hindsight now, I had no reason to be so unconfident and so shy. And so I didn't have reason like I thought I did to have zero confidence. The reason I had zero confidence and zero self-worth was because of the way I was raised. I just didn't get that attention and validation from my family, which is a much longer story, or from, the kids around me. I was always the loser in the group of friends that I had, not because I was really a loser. That was just the dynamic that seemed to always, I always fell into, because I didn't stand up for myself, at least not initially. So one of the things I did as a child was, over, years of being sensitive and emotionally hurt, I just eventually shut down emotion. So by the time I was in my teenage years, I just was, I'm going to use the term player. When I hit puberty, it was all about getting girls and I just wouldn't care. I was just trying to fill an internal lack of self-worth with external worth, which at that time came from getting girls. That's how I perceived value. If I could get the pretty girl, then I would be enough. If I couldn't, then I wasn't. That's the way I saw it. I didn't go to prom my senior year. That being said, I also didn't really go to school. So I didn't go to school my junior or senior year. So to be perfectly honest, I graduated by the seat of my pants. I had to go to 2 different types of night school to make up credits to graduate. I ditched so much my really my sophomore, junior, and senior years of high school. I had to go to night school to make up math and other credits. Somehow, by the skin of my teeth, I graduated high school, like with the minimum, whatever the minimum requirements were. That's what I graduated with. My GPA, I couldn't tell you if you put a gun to my head. I couldn't tell you a GPA from any time in school. I never cared. To be perfectly honest, I don't care now. So I barely graduated. Living in Bakersfield, California, it definitely makes you, well, really, there's one path out of Bakersfield, and that's the military. Well, there's 3 paths. Working in the oil industry, graduate high school, go work on oil rigs. Path number 2, go to Bakersfield College, which at the time was a junior college. Now it's a 4-year college. And by the way, when I say these were the options for people in my socioeconomic circle. The 3rd path was the military. I did not want to join the military right away. Why? Because that's what everyone in Bakersfield was doing. So I moved to LA to work in Hollywood. It didn't work out. I moved out there. I was 18 years old, and I ended up getting a job. This is going to sound crazy. I promise you it's 100% true. I ended up working in a phone room just like the movie Boiler Room, actually. And I was selling fake investments, which I was young and stupid. I didn't know they were fake investments when I was doing the job. I figured it out over the course of, 6 months. And when I did, I was about to quit. I ended up going to Vegas to party. I forget exactly the details of it. And while I was gone, literally the FBI raided the office and raided my desk. I don't know what I had in there. It's probably in an FBI file somewhere. And they took everything and they raided the office, and really didn't matter to me at that point because I was going to quit anyways. So long story short, at that time, I'd also tried to get a job before I worked in that phone room as a bodyguard. I remember calling up security companies and being like, hey, listen, I'm 18 years old. I have absolutely no experience, but I'll work really hard and I learn really fast. And that didn't go well. I ended up basically figuring out, and I was trying to do Hollywood stuff, but at the time I didn't even know what I wanted to do in Hollywood. Now it's very obvious. I always wanted to direct and write, but I had so little value in what I was capable of at that time. I didn't think that way because I didn't think I could write, because I wasn't a writer. I didn't go to school for writing. I'd never written anything. So I just didn't think I could do that. So I did realize, though, that I did want to work in the film industry. I realized that it was going to take a long time to do that. And I did want to join the military, had wanted to join the military since I was a kid. Like I said, I just didn't want to follow in the path of what everyone else did, right? I was that kid that, I loved the band when they were underground. As soon as everyone knew who the band were, I hated them. I was that guy. Still am to a degree, to be honest. But so I basically figured out, if I don't join the military now, I'm never going to do it, because it's a young man's game. It's going to take a long time to make this Hollywood thing work. And if I start to make it work, there's no way I'm going to leave that momentum to go join the military. So I joined. I actually literally joined out of the Hollywood, it was in Hollywood proper at that time. So my MEPS paperwork said Hollywood, California. I got a lot of shit for that, let me tell you. MEPS and basic training. And so I joined out of the Hollywood office. It was actually literally across the street from the Capitol Records building, which is still there. The building's still there, but the recruiting office is not. I ended up joining the military. And from that point on, I think most people probably know my career story, but I became a Ranger. My first job was an assistant machine gunner, which is one of the worst jobs you can have in any infantry unit. I didn't even carry a gun. I had a freaking tripod was my main weapon. My only actual weapon was an M9. Yeah, it was crazy. But in hindsight, it was great because I learned to carry a lot of weight. It took, there's no thinking, oh, you're a ranger. Well, no one wants to be a ranger assistant machine gunner. That's about the least cool job I can think of. So it definitely took not that I had an ego at the time, but if I did, it would have taken it down about 10 notches. But I learned to just suck it up, hump the weight, and be good at the job you're given. When I had the opportunity, I tried out for the sniper section and went over there, spent the rest of my time at that unit in snipers, deployed to Afghanistan. September 11th happened while I was in PLDC to be an E5, a sergeant. Graduated that. September 11th happened while I was literally in that school. Graduated that. Eventually, we got sent over to Afghanistan. At the time, I was a sniper team leader. At that time, I did some missions with Special Missions Unit. Was like, this is where I want to be. So when I got back from that deployment, basically put in a packet, which was a longer process than I expected. Eventually submitted a packet to go go to that selection program. I did that and I got accepted and I went over to that unit where, I was lucky to be able to deploy for different trips to Iraq. First trip was in Fallujah, which was in 2004, which was bananas. Really interesting deployment. Eventually, I did a deployment where I got blown up in Sadr City, Iraq, and that pretty much put me into medical retirement because I could no longer be a part of a team, or at least not for a long time. And they didn't know if I'd ever be able to go back. I didn't know if I'd ever go back. So it wasn't worth the risk to wait 5-ish years to find out if I could go back. So medically retired. And once I medically retired, I started trying to work in Hollywood and pursue my second dream. So I have spent now almost 15 minutes on this video. So I'm going to break it into 2 parts. So this is part 1, and the next video will be about me, part 2. So thanks for watching, and to stay tuned to these videos, go ahead and click subscribe. If you like this video, then like it. All right, thanks. See you on part 2.